Norsca is one of those factions that's actually very good, but you don't see played super often just because, I mean, they haven't had updates in many years, and definitely are sorely in need of one. But today, its current year is going to be taking his Norscan horde up against some lizards, and Throg's already got his work cut out for him, as we do have the dreaded Shredder of Lustria over on the other side here. Couple of Bastillodons with Rev Crystals, a Horned one with some Skink Javelin cohorts, a couple of regular Skink cohorts as well, Feral Cold ones out in the periphery here for the Norscans. Of course, lots of pointy sticks being thrown by angry Marauder Hunters there. We've got some champs to back them up, front line of regular Marauders with some Ice Wolves mixed in, and the Regiment of Renowned Famir, the Miststalkers, now corrected to properly have anti-infantry. Actually, I haven't tried them out very much against infantry since they had this change, but they seem like they'd probably be pretty decent. I mean, their stats are up in the 50s on both attack and defense against infantry, which is fairly solid, 110 armor, just overall pretty good stats. Their weapon strength is still really low for monstrous infantry of this price. I mean, a lot of other cheaper monstrous infantry has better weapon strength, but they do get that armor and the missile resistance benefit as well, which will come into play somewhat here as the Javelins seek to unload their ammunition. It looks like they're going to throw probably just at the regular Marauders here up front, which is fine. But I'd probably try and throw these Javelins at the enemy Javelins here. Throw a little happy Javelin day for Heir of Carthage, who seems to be living his best life casting Rome 2 games, which definitely makes me happy. But yeah, it's going to be a grand old time back here in Warhammer land as the Lizards rush in on the counterattack, get a quick terror bomb in the front, get some of these Marauders off the field. The problem is they don't have a lot of width to try and capitalize to get on the second level here and compromise these Javelin Hunters. A couple of Feral Cold ones had to take a journey up and around this cliffside here to try and come in contact. Nice block with the Ice Wolves there. It's going to prevent them from, again, getting into the Javelins, but the Shredder is getting shredded. It's also doing insane damage. Taking out the Lord of Metalcaster here will prevent it from getting another, Plague of Rust, which, by the way, has been stacked here, or was stacked momentarily with that Sundered Armor from the Femir for a minus 90 armor in total. That's going to allow those Javelins to get some insane value shooting at the big boy there. Of course, with plenty of healing, though, Lizardmen can sustain this damage potentially as long as they don't take too much too fast. But the Shredder looks like it may want to rout here, so despite everything, the Norscan's taking damage very fast, but also dealing it out, which is kind of their MO, right? Norscan games are probably on average some of the fastest, along with like Beastmen and Slanesh and a couple of other, kind of fast, hard-hitting, squishy factions. Norsca has some level of survivability, certainly, but we'll see how this kind of grind transpires as they continue to pour Javelins into the Shredder of Lustria there. A little bit of regrowth, but really nice synergy with the Famir and Plague of Rust. It is a classic synergy, of course, for Norsca. It's existed for so many years, but it's always been good when combined with the Javelins. Or, I've used it with what are they? Berserkers in melee occasionally as well to kind of knife a high-value unit. But here, it does allow the Shredder to get routed, but the Shredder's got plenty of healing, got some cold-blooded, likely to come back from rout here as long as it doesn't get chased too far afield. That will definitely be a problem. The Rev Crystals are also both still alive, so they can kind of sustain some damage, but problem is, what are they exactly going to be healing? I guess the Horned ones would be a really good option to heal as well now that the Shredder is heal capped. I would probably, shield the old ones, and if one of the Rev Crystals is available, definitely use it on those Horned ones. They're quite expensive also, and a nice elite cavalry support for this situation. We're just going to see a little Earthblood there from the Life Slon, who is getting tangled up with Throg. Throg, of course, using his Frostbites to great effect here to keep Slon from being able to get away, and the Famir also locking down the mass, sundering the armor. Not that there is much on the Slon. There's a lot on the Bastillodon, though, so even 30 armor off of it will make a difference, but with 140, it's pretty serious amount of armor there. But it is going to come down to just Lizard single entities. The Shredder does come back. Pretty much all the support skinks are gone. But there's the 2 Rev Crystals plus the Shredder here. And 2 Rev Crystals is a lot. I don't know, because the Rev Crystals damage output's not that great. Yes, they cost terror, they have a lot of armor, they can tank some damage, but they're not going to output a whole lot of damage, so I don't know. I almost feel like this is potentially an overinvestment in healing, because you probably have quite a few resources left even after heal capping the Shredder of Lustria. All of that is going to get routed by the Javelins, but there you go. Relatively quick game, but it's a fun one for sure. Like to see those synergies pay off with the armor reduction there. Throg got some pretty good value there. And Manticore, I forgot, was even in this replay, but yeah, maybe didn't end up making that much of a difference. Probably just terrified away some skinks, but really, I mean, nice to see the Miststalkers perform fairly well. And then the Javelins, man, 3,460 value on Javelins. It's definitely a tough look for sure. And, I mean, champs are fairly solid as well. Of course, in this matchup, they trade well with pretty much all Lizardmen infantry and can just give you a nice, reliable backbone. But yeah, that synergy, man. Plague of Rust plus the Miststalkers just with the Javelins absolutely mowing down the poor Shredder, which doesn't even come close to paying for itself. And honestly, in this matchup, it's just so risky to take big monsters against Norsca in general, even if Lizardmen have some of the best big monsters in the game and excellent capacity to heal them. You are still taking monsters into the Monster Hunter faction, so just consider that when you are taking this matchup. I would actually probably go, I don't know, it's been a while since I played this matchup. Generally, going Kite, if you have the micro to pull it off, can be very good here with a lot of ranged units to just wear Norsca down over time. You do need some counter mobility to protect, or alternately here, could even just cut the Shredder maybe, and dedicate all of this healing to some elite cavalry. Take like 3 horned ones and just try and raffle stomp your way over your opponent. It's not necessarily expected. I don't think that Lizardmen would go cav rush in this matchup. Norsca does have the tools to counter it, but I don't know. I mean, Javelins are okay at countering cavalry, but if you have enough volume, you can shut them down. It definitely makes a difference for sure, but it's an interesting one for sure. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Matchup that is pretty common over the years, if I'm being honest. But yeah, just the big monsters in general. Plus, the Rev Crystals don't really do a lot. Like I said, the damage output is not really there. You pretty much only take them for the healing, right? So I would just maybe rethink the composition on that one for the Lizardmen side. But the big monsters, I mean, the bigger and more expensive, the bigger target they are for those Javelins, right? And the Shredder being the most expensive monster in the game, only getting 900 points was a huge waste, obviously. So, some other decent units here. I mean, Salamanders can be very good. Fire damage is generally good against Norsca. Again, you have to have resources to protect them, though. Norsca is a pretty mobile faction, and they can shut down Salamanders if you're not careful. So, you know, the tricky thing, too, for Lizardman mobility is it's generally pretty slow, right? Like, you've got your only real fast units are your flyers. So, like, Pterodon Riders, not really that great in melee. They've got some range capability. Rippers are very expensive. I mean, I say very expensive. They're not absolutely insane, but they're expensive enough and squishy enough that you have to be super careful about how you use them. You only really have one anti-large variant, which is good against enemy mobility. So, yeah, going wide on mobility is tough. I mean, you have the Feral Cold ones, which are 70 speed. It's decent, but it's not incredible, and they're also, again, pretty squishy with pretty low HP, decent armor, but kind of low stats overall. It's going to be tricky, definitely, to try and figure out that mobility game, but, yeah, Norsca, the biggest piece of advice I can say is just not to bring big, expensive monsters against them. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did like this sort of content, you should like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.